Hello, everybody. Today, I am with the fabulous Tiara Smith. Tiara or Tiara?
Tiara.
Tiara Smith. I'm so excited to be here with her today. And we're just going to talk about, all things maritalpreneur. So being married and running businesses together and all the things that happen. So I'm always excited about this because maritalpreneurs have a 75% divorce rate. And so those who are doing it, we want to know what you're doing. We want to know the secret. And so that everybody else can do it. And then on top of having such a, high divorce rate, I'm working on the training that I'm doing. And it's just like, why build this business and this wealth if you're going to lose it in a divorce? And so it's like that question came up. And so I'm really intrigued as to people who are doing it. Like, how are you guys doing it? So, all right. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you. If you would tell me a little bit about your relationship, a little bit about your businesses, and then we're going to jump into like, what is you guys' secret? Like, what do you think that is? Okay. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, my husband and I have been together since 2019. Actually, 18, I'll take that back because we were dating long distance for a year until we got into the same state. So we are I would consider us still newlyweds for most, what people would consider newlyweds. We've been married for almost 5 years. And
it's not so new anymore.
I mean,
make it past year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4.
Right.
And so, girl, play the show.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So yeah, we have a small son, 2-year-old, and we also have I have a bonus son. He has a son. From a previous time. He is actually an adult, so he's 24. So we have 2 huge gaps in our boys. But yeah, our bonus son just graduated from Kennesaw State.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Look at you guys putting out young men. Good. Young men into the world.
Yeah. Very excited about his upcoming journey into whatever adulthood looks like for him. But yeah, so my husband is what we would call a serial entrepreneur. So he's been in the entrepreneur space since he was 19. So he hasn't worked a corporate job in years. It's been a long time. So he doesn't know that world. That's not how he has made his money over the years. That's not how he's sustained over the years. So the difference between him and I also am an entrepreneur, but I've worked traditionally in corporate America since I graduated from college. We went to the same college, a small HBCU, Stillman College in Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Yay.
So we have, I know one of the most important things about us coming together was we did have a like mindset. He understood that I knew just as much about entrepreneurship as him, even though I wasn't, primarily working in that space, because I've always wanted to embark upon my own business since college. It's just, those things don't always align when you're a single woman. So specifically, being an entrepreneur, not having the support you need to kind of get things going. So it just didn't happen for me as soon as I would have hoped. But his businesses consist of mainly real estate. He's been a real estate investor for over 20 years. And he does rehabbing. So he buys and flips. He also buys and holds. So we have quite a few homes that we have tenants in. So in partnership with him, I do have a property management company where I do manage tenants and also some outside clients, but mainly the tenants that we have within the homes that he owns. So that was one of the first things that we kind of...
I think, do you have a nonprofit too?
Yes. I also have a nonprofit.
Everything you're balancing. Okay. So his real estate business, then the property management business, then we got kids of completely different ages with completely different needs. Then we
Yes,
got
yes.
your nonprofit. And then what else are you doing?
And I also work in corporate America. I work part-time as a
Yeah.
senior training specialist.
So let's just stop there, because that don't include your mama, his mama, your cousin, his cousin. Why we all of a sudden got to host a family reunion and all of the little things. Okay.
Yes, so many little
Show up and
things.
show up,
So
and
many little things.
so many somebody's graduation. It's graduation season.
Yeah,
And so let's just talk about, like, right there. How do y'all balance everything? Like,
I don't even know sometimes how we do it. But I think the communication is extremely important. So daily we talk about business, but the passion has to be there. So I'll start with this. It can't be passion from one partner and not the other, because it will really drain you to hear all about your partner talking about the business and their business, and if you're not just as invested in that. And so I think for me, when we initially, even when we were dating and when we started to get serious, I was invested because I believed in the things that he was doing. And at the time, I had the idea of my nonprofit, and I didn't start my nonprofit until 2020, but I had the idea of my nonprofit, and I shared it with him, and he thought it was a great idea. Of course, it was something I had been sitting on because, again, I didn't have the resources, the time. I was working, trying to, and I was also, at the time, we were in different states. I was in Texas and he was in Atlanta at the time. So, I was just like sitting on this idea, and when he saw everything I had put together, he also, from an entrepreneur standpoint, thought, why aren't you already doing this? So when we both kind of connected there, and then because I do have a background in training and recruiting, and so that space really, it's not one that people talk a lot about, but recruiting and staffing really does those skills kind of intermingle when it comes to like having your own business and training, development, identifying gaps, in your business to even understand whether or not you need additional staff, or if it's something else that you should be, incorporating in that business to make it work. So I think, and during the time when we first met and started dating, that was the space I was in. I was a director at a staffing company where I led a couple of teams. So that was my day, just always busy, always meeting with clients, figuring out what are their staffing needs. But within that process, you figure out, well, is it just a training issue, or is it just, do you need more staff? So that was kind of, we would talk about all of those things, and from that, just kind of, it is.
I want to, I'm going to come back to that, but I just want to take a little side trip to the side.
Sure.
Old pastor who used to call a chicken nugget on the side, just I want to talk about, or I just want to say, so many entrepreneurs struggle with staffing. Specifically, because I think when you think about doing a business, you don't think about, how am I going to recruit good employees? How am I going to keep good employees? What happens when I have an employee problem?
Exactly.
How do I hire? How do I fire? How do I get those things in place?
Yeah.
So I love talking to you right now, because I was just on the phone last night with one of my friends, and it's time for them to fire somebody. And and most of my friends, we're in the service industry, we're in helping people, we're in supporting people, we're in people. And so now to realize that her business has grown beyond a particular, I'm going to say, component / person of her business. It's like, but I'm growing to get everybody hired, not to leave people behind.
Exactly.
And so I can see, to bring it back around to the Maritalpreneurs conversation of, I can see couples possibly struggling over, no, you need to fire that person. Oh, we can't fire them. Oh, and all of that. And then, or let's give them a raise. Oh, no, they don't deserve a raise. Or what is the...
What? Yeah.
Another conversation with somebody last week, and their administrative assistant was way overpaid. Way.
Oh, wow. Now that's a difficult
issue. And so What are we doing? How do we get this under, and really, really leaning into that. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm going to have you back, and we just going to have to, or have you on.
Talk about that.
Right? And like, what advice would you give with staffing? So I'm going to try my best to leave that alone and touch
Okay.
that, but I still want to go there.
Okay.
What I want to talk about, though, is a skill that I teach couples that sounds like you and your husband are doing automatically, which is that daily communication. So tell me, with all of the things y'all have got going on, of all the different times and everything, what do y'all do? And how do y'all ensure that daily communication happens?
So I'll say that I'm a big planner and I'm very structured. And so my husband is not so much.
Right.
So we balance very well in that space. So I'm oftentimes the person that's like, let's talk about what the goals look like. Let's talk about where we are with certain things. And we do that probably on a quarterly basis, like in a more formal way. But daily it is very important to just talk about what's going on in general, and so that you can remain proactive and ahead of things as they come in the business. And another aspect of what he does, he also owns a barbershop because he's a barber by trade.
Oh, wow.
So he loves that space.
So just throw that other business into the mix.
Okay. Yeah, so he loves that. And that's something I don't see him, ever stopping doing, because he does still cut hair about 2 days out of the week, 2.5 days out of the week.
Yeah.
And so also with him managing, even though barbers are, they're their own boss, but there's still a lot that comes with that when you have exactly. Exactly.
Some of my best friends throughout the years, and actually I do another podcast with the lady who's a stylist who's on her own shop.
Oh, nice.
And so
she knows all about that world.
7 good friends, 3 of them have been stylists.
Nice. Okay.
Stylists that own their own shops. And that's a whole world. Like, so even if you're not in there, like cutting hair every day, the whole facility still has to be managed. You're managing.
Exactly.
You're managing. I can't even, like, that's the whole bag of tips. So I get it.
It is.
It still takes time and energy. So, okay. So y'all make sure y'all communicate daily. And also something that you just said and alluded to, and I want couples to realize is, it seems like, and you've actually alluded to this a couple of times in this conversation, that you guys really respect the differences that you bring to the table.
Yes.
Like you just said, like, I'm structured, he's not. And it was said with like love and appreciation for the difference that he brings, as opposed to, he won't do it like I need him to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that allows for us to walk alongside each other and appreciate each other's differences, as opposed to pulling away from each other or forcing against each other because you won't do it my way, or I can't force you to do it my way and get structure. So has there ever been a struggle with you guys and y'all have overcome, or y'all have always been good at that, kind of walking side by side with appreciation?
I think for the most part, we've been doing well with that. I would say there are situations, in any business where you have to make a decision on how do we handle this. And because we operate very differently in our processes and how we, process things, there has to be an agreement that we come to. And that's because he respects my opinion and I respect his, in terms of, even though, okay, this was my business initially and I started the business, when we got married, it becomes our business, and also understanding and respecting our strengths. So he knows that there are things that if there are areas, in his business that lend to my strengths, he will say, okay, I need your help with this, or can you handle this? And I'm fine with that. And also, he's more of a visionary. We know that leaders are generally visionary type people, and they have an idea or they have something that they want to put in place, and they need someone to say, okay, this is what we got to do to get here. And so I think, like you said, there will be times where you have to come to a compromise, but it's important, just as what you said, that you support each other's way of thinking, you support each other's approach, and also come to what's going to be the best for the business. And so I think there are going to be times where you might say, I think this way is the best, because of XYZ, because his experience will lend to some things that I may not think about, and so I do respect that. And that's also important. But yeah, you nailed it in terms of just making sure that you're walking alongside each other and you're being a partner. And he does very well with that, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, well, you tell me it's your business, or you tell me how you want it. He's like, well, no, it's our business. So you have to, I want your input, because he likes to hear what I think as well, even if the decision may rest on him. So,
yeah. And so I think that's another good thing is, I think, hearing your partner, even if you don't like what they have to say. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
And I think for some people that's a skill. And I'm going to say there's a skill that you're going to need the rest of your life. And it's going to be a skill that you're going to need to grow your business. If you surround yourself with just yes people, or only people that agree with you, you are limiting yourself. And so I want people to start building that skill with their partner, and being open. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear what you have to say, even if your partner, I'll be honest, I just made this mistake the other day. Because my partner doesn't really know my business. And so I was like, well, what do you think about this? And they were like, well, I have a question about this. And then I was like, okay, no, you don't understand.
Right.
2 days later in coaching, they're like, oh, this is the problem with this. Oh my God, he said that and I didn't listen. I just want to be transparent. I think it is a lesson to learn to listen. That even though I listen to people for a living,
you do.
I am still learning. And I just had to apologize to him. There's no way I should have discredited what you said, period. And I'm going to really work hard to make sure I don't do that again. Because everything was right back in coaching. This don't make sense. Damn, that's what he said. God, can I just, listen to attention? Yeah. Because my immediate thought was like, oh, you don't know the business. You don't know. So I'm going to encourage everybody out there is to take all of the feedback, And so, and if it's a business, specifically if it's around sales and marketing, and somebody, no matter who they are in your life, is saying this is not clear, it's not going to be clear than somebody else. It's not going to be clear.
Absolutely.
And I know I've seen a couple of things out in the world where it be a billboard or a bumper sticker or something. I'm like, I don't know what they sound like.
Right. What are you trying to say?
You're trying to say what you're trying to sell me. So, okay. All right. Something that we talked about before we started recording is the importance of shared values and goals. And you just alluded to, you guys have a quarterly meeting. And so I think that's one of you guys' success secrets. And so if you were going to tell another couple what to do around vision, goals, quarterly meetings, what would you tell them?
I think even before you get married, it's important to understand your goals for the marriage. So what are your personal goals? What are your financial goals? And then what are your goals with your partner? So we did that. And the funny thing is, you don't really think about it. You're like, and being intentional to do it is hard, because you're like, what are my goals? What am I wanting to do? But even when you think about what you want the rest of your life to look like, when you write those things down, look at what are you saying to your partner? This is what I'm saying. And I remember this is totally off the subject, but I remember not listing children in my goals and everything. And so looking back at it, I was like, after I had completed it, I was like, you know what? I don't have a child on here. Do I want children? And I think because being at that point, being in your 30s and not having a child yet, you do start to, unless it's just something that you're yearning, to have, you do start to become comfortable and figure out your life without, because you're like, well, maybe, it's not meant to be, or maybe I'm not going to have a child. So that was one of the things I think that threw a curveball too. So even thinking about it from a woman mother standpoint, like does children, because when they come into play, that changes a lot about your goals as well.
It does.
So yes, I'll go back. But looking at what we wanted our goals to be as a couple had a lot to do with like financial wealth and also freedom. And for me, it's about leaving behind a legacy, not just money related, but leaving behind a legacy that can continue after I'm gone, whether that be my nonprofit organization or some form of a business that becomes a family tradition. And I think for him, it was very much the same. So that start, and then you have to, work backwards. Like, okay, well, based on where we are now, what are we going to do to get there? And so we did get sidetracked, of course, with my son because he wasn't on the list, on the goals list. But we put a plan in place, and I would say we're working through that plan. Like I can literally see us working through that plan in life. And no matter, and then the other piece of that is that I was raised Baptist, and I was raised in the church, and so was he. And not to get into religion, but whatever you believe or whatever your spiritual path is, it's also important that your partner has some form of similarity with that, because that will also push and pull, and cause friction in other areas that can also result in causing the friction in your businesses. So taking the time out to respect, whether it's going to church or whether it's reading the Bible or talking about Bible study or anything, whatever it is, that little time that you take away is also important to go into that spiritual place, because wherever your blessings, wherever you believe your blessings come from, is to make sure that keeps you grounded and humble. So I think that was also something else that we shared.
And so just spirituality is a wonderful connection point. Because I think like what you believe lends to a deeper conversation, a deeper intimate conversation. And then how does that play out in business? And so if I'm believing, let me think of a good example. If I'm believing this is a leap of faith, and you don't have any faith,
right.
My moves are going to be very scary to you.
Right. Exactly.
And so, and I want to go back and talk about those shared financial goals, because that's going to dictate how we move in business. And so let's say we got $100,000 sitting over here in the bank. I'm thinking it's for our kids' college education. And you're thinking that's the down payment on the next business. All of that. And so I think it's so important to have that as early as you can develop, and really sit down and talk about, okay, what's the shared vision? What's the shared plan? Like, how many businesses do we want to have? Like, what industries do we want to be in? Like, and really like fleshing that out and talking about it. And you'll realize, I think when you realize, which I do all the time. I was literally in a conversation last night, and I was like, wait a minute, I think we done cut this pie up into too many slices. Like, we got finite area resources. This is gonna do this, 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 this is gonna do this. Like, wait a minute. That ain't the math ain't math.
The math ain't math.
The math. And so really having those conversations. So tell me a little bit about what you guys do monthly. As you said. Like, how does that look like practical? If you were going to give instructions to another couple for them to go out and do the exact same thing you guys do to get some of the results y'all have gotten, what would you say? Like, step one is what?
So I will say one thing before I go into the steps. The type of business also will kind of dictate.
Say that part.
Certain things. So I'll say that the beautiful thing about real estate, and it can also be what we'll talk about, how it cannot be so beautiful. But the beautiful thing about real estate is that it can provide you with a cash flow, residual income. And it's something that you may only have to do once, you know, to be able to, like, let's just say, for instance, if we're buying a property, we fix it up for a tenant. That's something we did one time outside of, you know, maintenance. But that will create a cash flow of income that you can pretty much count on to offset some of those bills that you have in the home, or even, you know, filter into another business. So I would say now we also, which my husband has been in hospitality, because when we were in our 20s, he had a bar and grill. So hospitality is also something that he's experienced. So if it's a business that is in that field, that can look extremely different in terms of the amount of time and effort that it's that's going to require. So I will tell you, we were on the same page about the type of business that we wanted. More hands off, more residual income. And then, so if I would have to give directions, I would say first start off by understanding how and why, why you want to go in the type of business that you want to go into. And make sure that both parties are in agreement. And then after that, how, you know, is this something that one person is already doing, or is this something that we're going to start together? Like, what is the expert level? Because another thing that I see, and this is putting on my business coach hat, because I do business coaching for entrepreneurs too. But the other thing that this goes into is people see things and they're like, oh, I want to start a business. Oh, I want to do this. And there's no expertise there. There's no, which is a whole separate piece. Like, you have to learn and become an expert in this field, right, before you can even begin to start a business. And of course, we know entrepreneurship is a whole nother type of training as well.
Right.
So, so there
and
are
there's
people
so many
that,
components of it. I love I love / hate all at the same time.
Right.
I'm going into this. Okay. You know what's involved? Like, I was listening to one coach a long time ago, and they were saying, like, there's 17 different, like, jobs that you have to do to run a business, between sales, knowing the difference between sales and marketing, between
spot on
hiring, HR, policies and procedures, management, visionary, then execution, then receiving, accounts receivable. Like, there are all of these things. And even making a business plan, which I ain't heard nobody talk about it in a long time. So I don't know if that's because I'm not working with beginners anymore, or people just ain't doing business plans no more. Either way, I don't know, but either way. But even making a business plan still does not give you the detail of how the business is going to run every day.
Not day to day.
A business plan is not a marketing plan. A business plan is not a sales plan. A business plan is not a recruitment plan. All of these sub things that you have to have expertise in. And people don't think about it. And I think another thing they don't think about, which impacts marriages, is how big do we want the business to be? When is enough?
Yeah.
When have we arrived? When are we doing this to get off the hamster wheel? Or do we want to be on the hamster wheel forever? And I don't know if we've all, but at the level I'm at now, it's a lot of people who are like, okay, I've created this monster that's taken over my life. Yeah. And so how do I get out of it? How do I extricate myself out of it? And lost relationships along the way, because the business kept encroaching.
Exactly.
And now, which is why Maritalpreneurs is here to help people, like, hopefully bring them back to the brink so they can still have a business that operates and functions, and a marriage at the same time.
Yes.
So, okay, but I'm gonna give you back. I'm sorry.
No, that was, all of that was spot on, because I think too, one of the things that you mentioned was losing relationships along the way. That's why it's important to pick a partner. You know, if you know you're an entrepreneur and you know that's something you want to do in life, picking your partner is gonna look different than somebody just working a 9 to 5 every day. because there's a lot that comes with being an entrepreneur. And so going back to what your expertise looks like. And for me, it's more like, do you have experience in that industry? Because I know for me, like I've staffed hospitality. And so recruiting for hospitality looks very different than recruiting in healthcare, which I've also done for nurses. So I think the difference has to do with expertise. And I found that, those people, they operate a little bit different in terms of how they choose a job in hospitality and how they work and all of that. So if you've been a waitress for 20 years, you can run a business. That's how I feel. So that's what I mean more about, and not any business, a hospitality related business.
Right.
And so that's what I mean about.
I want to go into construction.
Yeah. So that's what I mean about like expertise, because we all won't know like some of the things that you named. And that's funny because in the space that I business coach in, we do have like separate plans, exactly what you said. Yeah. And so it may not be in your wheelhouse to kind of execute some of those plans, but understanding it from a holistic standpoint is important, even if you're not the expert in those areas. So going through something simple, it doesn't have to be, you have to get a 4-year degree, although me and my husband both majored in business administration. So we value our degree because I learned to love economics, which people are like, you like economics? Like, who does that and wants to be an entrepreneur? But because I understood like,
and that makes perfect sense because economics is about how money moves through the world.
Exactly. And so I also loved it because when I was working in a training space, I had a previous role of director of economic development in a school. You understand how it's important to speak to businesses, to recruit from within the schools so that you can keep the money flowing and keep the people that are actually local residents employed locally, which will continue to drive the economy in that local city. Yeah. So, and I went off on that, sorry. But what I mean is, what I mean is just that I'm not an expert in all areas, but because we study business as a whole, we understand a lot of those key aspects. And so even if it's something as small as getting an 8-week training in entrepreneurship, it's great. Yeah. But so when you write down those goals with your partner, make sure that that's a part of the conversation, not just what business would we love to have, because I would love to have a lot of businesses, but what makes sense for your skill set, your expertise that you can pull off, something that's realistic.
And your lifestyle. Exactly. Do you value? Because what I learned about real estate real fast is when I bought this house, I was calling my real estate agent. It was the night before Thanksgiving because my house had just came back on.
Yes, 24 hours.
Right? I don't care if she was your family because it was this. I don't know if y'all remember the 2020 real estate market in Atlanta was crazy. When a house came on the market, it was gone.
Yes.
In 40 minutes. Like it was no joke. And I had already been looking for a house for like months, like crying, writing letters, doing all the things. And so my house came back on the market. So it's the night before Thanksgiving. I don't care that you're driving with your family. You need to pull over, you need to put my contract in. And so I was like, and I just remember like, real estate is never gonna be for me. Like that's just so whatever.
I can see that for sure. I can see that for sure.
I had to interrupt all of these people because my agent need to call their agent, which like we got to get the contract in. And even I was on the way to a wedding. I think that Saturday, like it was.
Yes.
You got to be my house. So anyway, keeping that in mind, I think, and I think as couples decide on what business to go into, I would love for that to be part of the conversation. Because if you're going into a business that's going to have you gone at all times of the night, that's
exactly
available on holidays, is that the type of lifestyle I want?
That you want. Right.
How does that work into our dreams? So, okay. So,
and if you don't know a lot about entrepreneurship, you don't understand how that may be the case even within the first couple of years of your business. But go ahead.
Okay. So when you guys do your quarterly meetings, are y'all sitting down? Y'all in the bed? Y'all at Panera? Where we at? And is somebody leading this, or just we got a manual we referring to? What?
Because I'm the structure person, and because training is my background, training and development, it's always structured, agenda, all that stuff. So the last time we met, I have a virtual office. So I scheduled some time in that conference room, and we went to the conference room. It was one of the days where I don't like to do it at our home, although you can, because we have an office, a shared office that we work in. So it really could have been here as well. But we wanted to go somewhere offsite to do that. So it varies on where we have it. But this last time we did it at my virtual office conference room. But I think having an agenda, having somebody that does take the lead on that, so that you know what the outcomes are going to be, like, or what you hope, what you plan to discuss, because from that, you would want those outcomes to be clear moving forward. And they last a while, so you have to be prepared to be there for some time. I think we did like a 4-hour thing, but it takes time. And then even after that, there's still things like hanging out there that you have to say, okay, we got to check back in on this. Circle back. And so, I would say the meetings, the goals, all of that is important. And just don't try to rush the progress, because it's life, right? And things happen. So I think too, making sure that you're on the same page with how fast and slow you want things to progress. Like, what is our goal? Are we wanting to start this business in 5 years? Are we wanting to start this business tomorrow? I'm just joking. But because
I feel like, particularly with my African American female, they want to do everything yesterday. Okay.
Yes, everything.
You got 5 kids under 5. You're working a full-time job. You want to get your PhD. And now you think the best time is right now to start a business? Because you feel like everybody else got a business and you don't, because why are we doing that?
Exactly.
And then I'm gonna go back to my other life as a sex therapist. Then you in my office on the couch with your husband because y'all ain't had sex in 2 years.
Exactly.
I don't understand how you sleep. Like, when do you have time to sleep?
Right.
And so I'm making a joke of it, but it's a real thing.
I can imagine.
Really, I'm really encouraging everybody to not only plan out your goals around business and your partner for the lifespan, but also your life, so that you can say, this 5 years, we're going to concentrate on getting this business up and off the ground. Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
I would also like to say, because I'm out here now, that I went to school and my undergrad is in business. They to expect that a business takes 5 to 7 years to become profitable.
Exactly.
Okay. Can y'all put that in y'all plans? That's
right.
Because you manage your partner because they had this business idea and they sold it to you as if it was going to be profitable in 2 years. I don't know where y'all got that number from. That's not my training. I don't know whose training that is. I will admit that in service businesses, depending on your particular service and how and what you need, you may be able to get overhead down so that you can get to profit faster.
Exactly.
Some businesses, you can get their overhead down really low and get to profit
faster. Exactly.
I admit that. So know your business, your business and know what the industry standard is and when to expect that you're going to get to the level of profitability in which you want.
Right.
And so, profitability, if you're in a brick and mortar and you are making, let's say you're positive 40K, year 3, you're actually doing extremely well.
Yes,
But if you thought
absolutely.
that you was going to be 200K positive in year 2, you feel like you're doing bad. And like all of this needs to be talked about like in an honest conversation. Because when you go home and you sell this business plan to your partner, or this is what we're going to do, or y'all talking about it and y'all not realistic about the numbers, that's going to set up for disappointing upsetment and being upset.
Right. Exactly.
So, okay. I want to wind us down. And
I was just about to say, I totally forgot. I have a 1 o'clock.
Okay. All right.
But I do want to chat again. So I kind of want to like, maybe this is part 1 because I feel like we've just kind of touched the surface. But so I'll let you decide, Natalie, how you want to move forward with this.
We got to do a part 2. And I can already talk. I have to do a part 3 because we can talk about all these things all day long. Yeah. All day long. All right. So I'm going to send you another link to reschedule. And
okay.
This is the end of part 1, and I can't wait for part 2.
Thank you. I've so enjoyed talking to you and getting to know your background. I know we share a lot of similarities, so that's pretty cool.
Okay, yeah. Right. So, all right. You have a great day.
You too. Take care. Right. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.